2006 to 2008.
So what's your name?
I'm Eric Jackson. And what's your name?
I'm Audrey.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hi, Audrey.
So tell me about your camp here. What you got going on?
A little bit about what's going on here. Across the street, we have the Fifth Street Market construction, as well as the Fifth Street Market that is functioned. And the owners of the Fifth Street Market, Brian Obie, along with other investors, and his grandson, Casey Barrett, that is the VP of Operations or the President of Operations. They operate the Fifth Street Market. They are also 2 of 31 signatures that was on a Chamber of Commerce letter vetoing an already approved day center and overnight 38-bed shelter for winter strategies. It was already approved. St. Vincent's was surveying the property. They got wind of it and said, oh, no, you can't do this. Wrote a letter and the city stopped it. And then we got 12 and a half inches of snow. And then we got another 6 inches of snow. And that was not probably good for them to stop a winter thing. So I started by protesting at the Whole Foods backside of their building, protesting the shed, the John G.J. shed, whatever it is, for the performing arts. And I have nothing against the performing arts nor any of their patrons or musicians. But the management is so greedy that they feel that they should be the only act that has people coming in and out in town, and they ignore the fact that homeless people need a place to be as well, and they're already downtown, so why would you not?
Especially in the wintertime.
Yeah, they definitely need a place. And if they're already downtown, why would you not take the time to get them in a place where there is a 10-foot fence? Oh, because then I'm looking at it from our back door.
It's a little bit better than on the sidewalk in front of their buildings.
That's correct. That's what I think. That's what I think as well. And so we've been protesting. I started the protests in September 6th of 2018, right after the Ninth Circuit Court decision said do not criminalize homelessness and the core behaviors around homelessness. So homeless activities, according to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which covers the Western Coast, Alaska, and Hawaii, so California, Arizona, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, and Hawaii are covered by the Ninth Circuit Court decisions and the federal level of constitutionality. And a 10-year-old case between a half a dozen litigants. Some of them were put in jail, some of them were threatened with jail. But amongst all the litigants, they feel that you cannot do this. And their tickets ended up being dismissed a decade later because they stuck to it. I came here to Eugene, saw what the homeless problem was as an advocate already, was heading to Portland to check it out because my son said to. He said, Daddy, you got to check out Portland if you're going to write another book on this. And I said, all right. And yet he was staying here in Eugene. So I came to meet him. He climbs the, what is it called? Skinner's Butte. That's like literally right over there. He climbs the basalt columns up and down after he did his zip line tour job. So now he's a climber as well. And he said, yeah, this is a cool town. You'd probably want to stay in a town like this versus Portland if you're going to stay in Oregon, because Portland's a little too much, but you'd got to go check it out for the homeless thing. And I never left here because I found out there's about 1,500 people on the streets and there's a terrible housing imbalance. And I said, I can fix this. I can work with these people and get this fixed. And I have been working with them, and they've been working against me.
What kinds of things have you been doing?
Going to the council meetings, going to figure out who all the advocates groups are within the town, what they service, what they perform, whether they're actually performing the services that they say they're offering, whether the community of homeless people actually think that they are in fact, getting that
adequate service
from what they say, what their brochures say, and going through the White Bird and the Catholic Community Services and the Red Church and the White Church and the donation days and the Salvation Army and the mission and everything connected to dinners at the mission, lunches at the mission, not often, but enough to interact and get the scoop. Going to the White Church breakfast, the Red Church breakfast, interacting with the volunteers to see what their gauge of the volunteering is, what they feel that the overall impact is. Also working with the Homeless and Poverty Subcommittee for the Human Rights Commission here in town. I didn't get involved enough with the, what would it be called? The County Human Rights Commission, which was probably a mistake on my part, because I think if I got involved with them more than the city, I probably would have had better leverage to go forward.
Do you think there's a chance to do that now?
I hope there's always a chance to still do something rather than just sue. I currently have a camper that's behind me that got violated on her probation because of a conviction for prohibited camping. So her probation violation states on the paperwork from the county probation department here in Eugene, Oregon, on a charge from Eugene, Oregon, in the municipal court, not of record in Eugene, Oregon. So you can't check out the transcript and see what happened there, because there is no transcript. But with that, I think that because it says prohibited camping conviction,
that feels pretty inhumane. Like, people need to have a place to sleep.
I think it needs to be a criminal act in order for it to be a conviction. But if it's so benign that the police department came and arrested her and brought the probation officer out, and the probation supervisor and probation officer violated her for prohibited camping conviction, which it is not a convictable crime. It's a default judgment or a judgment. So if you go into court, you get judgment against you or you get judgment for you.
Right.
And the judge either lowers the fine or waives the fine or does this or asks you to do road crew, whatever. But it's not a criminal conviction. You're not a convict for getting the ticket, according to the city attorney. But as far as the criminal process goes, criminal process starts, according to some of the Jones paperwork, also out of the Ninth Circuit, it starts the moment that police choose to speak to you in public versus anybody else. And that's the criminal process that we're talking about. They're criminalizing homelessness. Whether it's a simple $150 fine that turns into $284.41.
Well, and that's the largest problem with that is, like, when you fine people in that way, or you're going to give them a probation violation just for sleeping, this does nothing other than push them further into being homeless and not being able to get a way out of it.
Yeah. The fact is that she was homeless when she got the original violation of the law. She was homeless when she got to court. She was homeless when she was sentenced to probation, and she was homeless when she reported to probation a year ago, whenever it was, the first time. Why did anything change? It's very interesting when they set you up for failure.
Yeah.
In a program where
the cards are stacked against you.
Where failure is truly for the original offense, not for something completely unrelated and protected by your constitutional rights of cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah.
So because of those rights, and her spending 7 days in the county jail for violating probation for conviction of prohibited camping ticket, yeah, that's going to be a problem. But we've been here protesting the Ninth Circuit Court decision from the beginning, because the city came out and said, we don't have to worry about that.
It's a pretty gross injustice.
Well, they say they don't have to worry about it just on the basis that they don't arrest. It's a non-arrestable thing. If Todd has pictures of my tent, there's 30 tickets attached to the tent because I have just about that many charges for prohibited camping. Because I want to be able to show the track record of the way the police behave. I want to show the track record of the criminalization of the behavior of sleeping in public and protesting in public. So First Amendment protest, yet they consistently feel that this is what they want to spend their time with their police.
And that's what they want to spend their money on.
Yeah, and the homeowners wonder why they can't respond to emergencies, because they have staff during the day, weekdays, just giving out tickets for homelessness. So they don't have staff to handle the housing. So when a homeowner is being robbed at gunpoint or knife point or life being threatened, as has happened in this community, no police report until much, much later. And that's why they're asking for increased police for safety budgets with payroll taxes and such. And that's nonsense. Because if they would just stop the homeless attacks, they would have a lot less problem.
What's your name?
Sam.
Sam.
just say hi there. I'm from.
Where you're from, what you do, why you're here, and possibly what are some of your hardest
Struggles right now.
day to day? Just day to day. What's the impact of the streets? Thank you.
Todd, Audrey,
Hi, what's your name?
Samuel.
Hi, Sam. I'm Audrey.
Nice to meet you.
What can you tell me about why you're out here today?
I'm out here, because basically everywhere else in town, publicly, the homeless and or the survivors are just pushed out and.
Pushed out in what way? What do you mean by that?
Well, see that there's a curb to building ban on the sidewalk.
That was just passed.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I guess they adopted it from a neighboring town. Luckily, we have our planter section, so I've only stayed here a couple days. I've tried the other camps. I've tried the other, what is that, the wellness centers, the service station, the mission.
Right.
Personally, like, I can't stand being in an enclosed space. So it's, I like being able to see the sky. I like not having a door. I'm usually very casual. I can just talk to anybody, be real with anyone.
What led you to being homeless to begin with?
Well, see, I'm not from Oregon. I'm from the Midwest, and I started in Portland 2.5 years ago. And my last apartment was in Springfield, and it was just the lease was up, and to be honest, I tried to become a wildland firefighter.
Right.
And the day that they called me to, get my pack ready and everything, I was babysitting, and I ended up tearing 2 tendons in my ankle. So I was out for a good 6-8 weeks.
So medically unable to work.
At that time.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, becoming homeless immediately after having the broken ankle. I wasn't able to.
Right, because you don't have income anymore. Yeah.
I wasn't able to recover like I should, and it's just everyday life is a struggle, based off consumerism and lack of appropriated funds.
Right.
Getting an ID lately has been rough for me. I know there's services around town. If I had an ID, I'm sure I would have a job.
Right.
But lately, I've just been volunteering my time, volunteering my,
What do you do in your volunteer time?
I'll clean up the streets, like the garbage.
Nice.
I'm usually helping out anyone.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you face being out here?
The weatherization.
No protection from the elements. The heat and the cold.
Yeah. I guess also when it comes to laundry day.
Oh yeah.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
And food's usually scarce.
Right.
Especially not having income. I usually You usually won't find me on the corner spanging or asking someone for spare change.
What did you do last winter?
Last winter,
Were you in the camp when the snow came and everything?
no, I was right there with Jackson.
How was that getting through the winter with all the snow?
It's pretty easy. I mean, I'm from the North Woods, Wisconsin area. So
How'd you stay warm? Lots of blankets?
no, I mean, I was literally one of the only people walking around in just jeans and a t-shirt.
Okay.
I mean, I would have a coat when the wind was bad.
Nice.
That the day we got 12 inches of snow, I was so happy. I was like a dog, just rolling around in the snow. Literally, I was playing. I was throwing snowballs at everyone I saw. It was pretty fun.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah. Especially when there's that one person you don't know or you don't talk to that much, and then you just you hit them with a snowball and they're like, "Hey, what's your problem?" I was like, "Nice to meet you."
Dude, how tall are you?
Not that tall. 6'5", 6'6".
You know? You don't have big feet. That's the weird thing. Usually, the guy has size 12s or something.
I wear size 14.
14.
Yeah.
Do you know about the services available right now to get an ID?
Yep. I just missed the last Friday of the month, so Catholic Community Church is all.
Catholic Community Services can help you get an ID, and Whitebird will also get you a birth certificate for free now, if that's necessary as well.
Yeah, I decided to play a prank on my friend, and the prank was I went right on top of him, and the Whitebird person saw me do it, and she came over and she 86'd me from Whitebird, and
For joking with your friends.
for joking with my friend.
That's pretty rough.
Back home, all I really know is biker code 86 means you're forever. So
Right.
I'm an able and capable man. I really don't think I need Whitebird. I mean, as much as they've been good to me, I've been using them for a year and a half. Never had any problems with them. So it's just, now I'm just really just trying to survive, wilderness type.
Right.
When I was here in the 70s, I was homeless and I lived in a truck. But one of the things I remember very clearly was unemployment was sky high. And I was down there at the unemployment office. And there was all these people who were all jammed in the area in front of the counter. And there wasn't really even enough room for everybody to be jammed in there. And then there's a great big office area where the guys are just walking around real slow with files and stuff, and nobody's getting any work done. So this guy just went nuts. And he just took one of the big books on the counter. He started going, wham, wham, wham. Let's get a move on back there. Let's get this, crank out this work. We're tired of waiting. And everybody else was inspired, and they started to get, demanding. And it just stuck with me, that one person can get everybody to be demanding.
You can't have creativity without chaos, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think it would take to improve the housing situation here in Eugene? Or what do you think the problems are with it right now?
I think, one of the major issues with the problem is just stability in the land. There's a lot of marsh area, there's a lot of swamps, there's, the river, a lot of, what's it called, where a lot of shifting in the land. So you gotta deal with.
So that limits places you can build.
That limits, the financial part. If you have a swamp, you got to fill the swamp with what, $40,000.
Right, it's more
worth
costly.
of gravel. Yeah. And to be honest, I think less concrete would help. It's all perspective, really. If you're a clean freak, or if you're, if you're a pack rat, or if you just like collect belongings, or I know my aunt, she's got 3 houses that are just stacked full of boxes, just full of stuff.
Speaking of that, there's a lot of people really angry right now because there's a lot of houseless people that collect all this trash and leave it behind whenever they move. How do you feel about that?
I feel, I don't know, I guess it's like a big community letdown when even like in a family environment, like, you know, when you're being raised, you grow up, like, you know, my dad was like, when you're 18, you're moving out.
Right.
Well,
That's what my dad said.
I left 2 years before then. I was like, I'm not even gonna wait till I'm 18, and you know, it's tough. I mean, we're propagated by what just everything about it. Time in itself is even a factor.
Yeah.
What I did is when my youngest kid turned 18, I moved out. It's a lot easier than making them move out.
A lot of people are built on immediate satisfaction or immediate gratification. So it's like if they aren't pleased, or if they aren't, you know, paid off, or if they're not it goes as little as, you know, just giving somebody respect. If you can't give somebody the same respect that you can give them, you're like, oh, well, you can get out. This is my roof. You can get out. I don't know. That's why I like being outside. There's no roof. The only person that could really kick me out is a person with handcuffs, or.
If there was an easy and affordable pathway for you to rent your own apartment or have some kind of a stable living environment, would that be something you want? Would you go for that?
If it's like, I don't know, it's a systemic problem. It's not just, you can't just keep on you can't make a vaccine for a total, like, I don't know, not just community
inoculation,
and a global inoculation of, you know, just everything. I mean,
What kind of work do you like to do? You said you could do work and you liked work, but then, you know, of course, it wouldn't be enough to pay the rent, maybe.
well, I know my parents always wanted me to be like a teacher. They always said that I was good with helping people, you know, showing the way, being able to, you know, take every single what do they call it? I can't even think of the term. What's it called? Where like all the attributes to having success, like being like an entrepreneur, like Jackson. He's got steps. He's got protocols. He has, you know, rules to how he does things. And, you know, when I was growing up, I was always I always went against the grain. You know, I always told my teachers, like, you're wrong. I guess that's why. But I didn't finish high school. The only class I failed was history class.
Oh, supposing there was like a housing first deal and you could go back and get your GED and do child care services at LCC, something like that, then would that be something you want to do, or you maybe don't even want to do it? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know. The whole idea of, you know, being. I don't feel like that piece of paper would give me any type of, like, I don't know how that piece of paper like ables me to do something.
Right.
Like if I just took, like, you know, a quick test to pass, to know that I could be able or capable of having a job. It's like,
oh, like there's the licenses you can get for child care, but so that's a test. I don't think you have to have a degree. But anyway, it's just a thought.
It's like why isn't there a test to be able to tell if, like, you're able to have a child, or if you're capable of.
Can you aim that and see if it's aimed?
I mean, I'm not trying to be, you know, totalitarian about it, but it's like, you know, some people will have 3, 4, 5 kids, and you know, 70% of them will get neglected.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or, you know, like I was a third child. Like some people say I have a third child syndrome. So it's like,
there's a book about that. I have that book.
yeah.
Have you read that? It's
Yeah.
a kick.
I don't know.
I was a second child, so my whole childhood I'm trying to compete with my older brother, and because he always was the automatic favorite and more powerful.
I don't know. I would always get beat up by my older siblings because they always feel like I would get better things
He's
than them.
6'5" and his siblings beat him up. They must be 6'8", huh?
My sister's 6 foot. My brother's 6'5". My mom's 6'1".
Because I spent my whole childhood running away from guys who were bigger than me. I was a runt,
Yeah.
like Mike Clark, whatever.
It's not worth running away. I don't know. Like, especially like, I don't know. Whatever you consider to be punishment. Like, I don't know. My dad was really strict, so like I couldn't even pick up my right foot the correct way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So anyway, thanks for talking. I mean, it's a
Yeah. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Todd Boyle.
Todd Boyle.
I'll put it on my. I'll give you one of my cards here. I think I have some cards.
Shout out Todd Boyle.
Okay. Thanks. So tell me, how long you been here? Are you one of the camp here?
Yes, my good man. I am one of the camp here. My name is Jeffrey. I'm from Sacramento, California. I moved up here in 2015, but in July sometime. My mom passed away, which has led me to the events of ending up in Eugene. When I was downtown the lady in the Greyhound station looked up Eugene for me. Eugene was supposed to be one of the top places in the United States to be homeless, for services and places to help you get on your feet as a homeless man. I showed up to you here and it was nothing like that at all. I went to your local mission where 2 out of 3 men are local and convicted rapists. Yes, sir. I was bunking with a gentleman who sodomized 2 boys in Florida and was out after serving 15 years. Like I said, that was pretty harsh for me. I was depending on that a lot to help me with my struggles, but I don't want no part of that place. I'm 38 years old. This is my first time ever being homeless. This town claims to be homeless friendly, but when you show up here, they're everything but that, and I'm not lying. I went to jail for 15 days and had to pay a $500 fine for sleeping in the park 8 times. I got 8 tickets, and that's what my punishment was.
Do you get them all paid off?
No, I ain't paid one red cent on that, sir. But I did do 15 days in jail. Man, the big picture is who wants help, who needs help, who's gonna get help. We are homeless, but it's up to us individually, not as a group, to seek, success in a better tomorrow. I think that I'm sort of kind of wrong in a way, in a manner, but then again, 2 wrongs don't make it right. This town is very rude, and they have no class when it comes to the homeless society here.
Winter is no fun.
Winter, it don't matter to me, sir. It's another day regardless. Rain, snow, it don't matter. I'm just saying, oh man.
So let's get another one. We can get 2 done, and then
I tell you,
those guys are going to show up.
believe in yourself and love yourself. And just first step, I tell you.
That's all I could get. It was the last table.
Man, I want to say something. It's just so wrong.
But anyway,
We need better role models. We need people who really got their head on straight, who are homeless and actually knows something about life, and someone who knows that love and God is one of the 2 hardest things in life to try to understand, period. Homeless, and then to understand about being homeless. You're hungry, you stink.
thanks so much.
Man. And I beat up Rodney, Black Rodney, I banged him out. Sure did. Ready? That fool was 62-0 before he even did.
So what's your name? How you doing?
Yeah, today's actually pretty beautiful. It's actually not that bad. I'm doing pretty good today. My name is Samantha Robinson. I am 23 years old, and I am currently homeless in Eugene, Oregon. I came out here about 8 years ago, probably total. Voluntary, but I knew that for the best reasons for myself to be who I was going to be as an adult. So I've been out here by myself completely since day one, and I've taken care of myself. I've learned a lot of things about being independent out here, especially being a girl.
Do you have any questions?
What
Yeah, that would help a lot.
Homeless?
Huh?
What led to you being homeless?
The family that I come from, they're all doing pretty well. They all have jobs. They all have places to, lay their head at night and feel safe and feel comfortable and want to live their life like that forever. I did have a relationship back in the day that kind of opened my eyes a little bit to how less fortunate people could be, and that made me feel really guilty for a very, very, very long time. So I picked up my stuff and I just left. I didn't say goodbye or nothing. My parents didn't know where I was or anything like that. I just showed up here one day, and I picked Eugene because every time that I visited in Eugene, I've lived in Oregon about my whole life pretty much. I bounced around a little bit everywhere, but Eugene has always been #1 spot.
Did you do the last winter?
I didn't, but I have done previous winters. I was gone for about 2.5 years in California, just to see if it was just this spot where, I could only be homeless and whatever, and try to explore a little bit and get out of here for a little while, because things did start getting worse. Law enforcement and things like that, they make it nearly impossible to be living out here, not realizing that it's a little bit harder than so
What do you think is going to happen next in the next couple of years for you?
I mean, honestly, I see things pretty optimistically, okay? But damn, this makes me emotional saying this. Things do not really look good, for the near future for us, but I do have hope that they could be better. Really good things could happen. People could start opening up their minds a little bit more. Maybe law enforcement give it a little bit of a chance. I think we could all honestly do something to where we could meet in the middle, and we'd all be a little bit happier.
Like if there was a legal place, that would.
Yeah, absolutely. We all struggle every day. Food, hygiene. Everything every day. Same thing. And not to just be most about genders, but it's really hard for women to stick together out here. But
one of the biggest struggles that I had when I was homeless and being a woman is trying to find a place to use the restroom.
Yeah,
I need to,
absolutely.
change tampons and stuff.
Yeah, being a girl and having feminine hygiene products.
Take for granted.
Oh yeah,
it's really hard.
People that get to shower every day, and lay down and, snack on food all night watching TV and stuff. Like, I was like that when I was younger, probably till up age 12. And now looking back out on it, oh my God, I was such a little brat.
Hey, what time is it? Are we okay?
Yeah.
That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, no, it was really, I'm happy that I did this though.
We got 20 minutes. So do you want to give someone else a spell?
Yeah. Are you good?
You want to pick somebody?
It's like my little brother. Her dad's in jail right now. He just went this morning.
Audrey, can you tell us about your homeless stint?
Boy, I'm not
Because you're not in this particular.
I'm not prepared for that.
Right. You're not in this particular camp, but.
Right. Let's see. I moved to Eugene 4 years ago. I was leaving an extremely abusive relationship, and his family had money, and I didn't. So his mommy bought him an attorney and had me served with a status quo order and a petition for custody the day before I was supposed to leave. I had already come to Eugene. I have a lot of friends here, and that's why I chose to come here. But I had already come to Eugene and filed for TANF to help pay rent until I found a job. And after he filed the status quo order and petition for custody, then I obviously had to leave without the kids, so then I didn't qualify for TANF anymore. And it took me, I got a job within a week of being here. That was cool, but it took me 52 days to save up enough money to get into an apartment. So during that time, I was homeless and I was couch surfing, and then I got into my apartment, but I was working 2 jobs just to pay for it. I'm losing 62% of my paycheck for child support, so kind of hard to live on that. And after being in my apartment for about 1.5 years, I lost one of my jobs, and only having one job, I couldn't afford rent anymore. And
how much was the rent?
When I first moved in, it was $525, but then with all the bills and everything, I was paying about $800 a month. And by the time I had left, rent had moved up to $650, and rent increasing on top of losing one of my sources of income. I couldn't afford it anymore. I ended up moving in with a random person that I didn't know very well, just because it was all I could afford, to rent this one room. And I paid 3 months in advance, and then my car broke down, and right after I had just paid 3 months rent in advance, spent all the money I had, and my car breaks down, the person that I was renting from attacked me in the middle of the night, and I had to flee my house under police escort at 3 a.m. And I had nowhere to go, and I had no money, and my car was broke down, and I spent all summer just sleeping in the park. I ended up finding a second job, and it took me about 6 months working both jobs to save up enough to get into a place. And even then, the only way I could was going into a place with another person. And the power imbalance of not being able to be on the lease, because I had just got that eviction and stuff. So I paid my equal portion of moving costs, but I still wasn't on the lease because of the eviction that I got. And so that power imbalance just led to things going astray within the household, and then I ended up homeless again for a short time that time. And I made a quick decision, and I went to Roseburg to my grandparents' place, and I built me a little tiny house over the summer. And
so at that point, you were a Lane County person who wasn't here, but you're homeless in Roseburg. So they always complain that people are coming to Lane County, but actually you were the opposite at that point.
Right.
Because you came from the county before. That's where you were raising your kids.
Yeah.
The county. So.
Yeah. And so I built a little tiny house over the summer, and I got it moved back to Eugene literally the day before I was supposed to start school at LCC. And now I've successfully completed 3 terms at LCC and got a 4.0 every term. I'm living in my little tiny house. It's parked in the back corner of my friend's property. The scary thing about that is that it is illegally parked. There is no ordinance for that. If anybody wanted to make a complaint about it, police could show up and tell me I've got to leave again, and I go to school full time and I work part time, and this is all I can afford. It's $400 a month for the space rent for the land where I have it parked, and I can't afford anything more than that, and any regular kind of housing is well above $400 a month, which just makes it impossible. So I've had probably combined time a year worth of being homeless on the streets of Eugene. all of that time I was an employed person and doing the best I could to get by, but I mean, like I said, wages aren't very good anyways, and then combine that with the fact that I'm losing 62% of my paycheck for child support, and rent being as extreme as it is, it just is really hard to get by here.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.